The coastal town of Belmarsh lay nestled beneath a persistent fog, its salty air mingling with the scent of damp wood. For months, residents spoke in hushed tones of the lighthouse keeper, an eccentric man named Tobias Stroud, who had vanished without a trace. Detective Alara Quinn, driven by a blend of duty and intrigue, arrived to investigate. The townsfolk eyed her with a mix of suspicion and dread, as if she were an unwelcome harbinger. Rumors swirled like the mist. Tales of a cursed light that drew sailors to their doom spun around with every whispered word. As Alara walked the narrow, winding streets, she felt the weight of unseen eyes watching from behind cracked window panes. She visited the dilapidated lighthouse, where the lantern had gone dark. Inside, faded charts littered the floor, and a peculiar marking caught her attention, a series of spirals drawn hastily on parchment. The town seemed to throb with a pulse of secrecy, each person an unwilling participant in a deeper hoard. Among the townsfolk, Alara met Mary, a barmaid haunted by night terrors, and Silas, an elderly fisherman burdened by tales of the abyss. Each carried a shroud of sorrow, hints of buried truths. They spoke of the lighthouse with reverence and fear, hinting at a long-forgotten pact with the sea, a bargain that once spared Belmarsh from calamity but demanded tributes. Clarity eluded Alara as she deciphered the tangled tales of devotion and betrayal. On her second night, a storm raged along the shore, battering the town underneath an eerie crimson sky. Alara, restless, studied the spirals again, their shapes morphing into grotesque forms in her mind. Every corner of the lighthouse seemed to echo with the whispers of its forsaken people, and the ocean's crash against the cliffs became a cacophony of warning. Shadows danced in her periphery, fueling her growing paranoia. The air thickened, charged with a dreadful energy, urging her to delve deeper into the mystery. The tension in Belmarsh heightened as Alara unearthed more clues hidden within town folklore. She sought solace in the local tavern, where Mary, with her haunted eyes, murmured of the lighthouse keeper's descent into madness. Conversations turned when Silas spoke of an ancient shipwreck at the sea's edges, buried under layers of time and salt. Matted whispers surrounded the mention of the keeper's grave, said to be a resting place for souls lost to the ocean's insatiable hunger. That evening, the lighthouse loomed in the moonlight, a silhouette against the darkened sky. Drawn by an instinct, Alara returned to investigate. The air turned electric, and she heard a cacophony, an undersea hum resonating within the stones. She gripped her lantern tighter and followed the spiral etchings carved into the wooden wall leading down into a concealed niche. In darkness, she discovered ancient artifacts, weathered bones, cryptic markings, and a heart-shaped locket that pulsed faintly with an otherworldly glow. Each emblem shared eerie similarity with her spirals. Was the lighthouse a beacon for something more than mariners? She felt as if she were awakening ancient forces, pulling at her very sanity. The next day, Alara confronted the townsfolk, piecing together the fragments of their stories and unveiling their ties to the lighthouse. Their faces turned pallid as she mentioned the keeper's grave, igniting desperation in their eyes. Mary claimed familiarity with arcane rituals connected to the lighthouse, while Silas, too, turned evasive, his quaint facade crumbling. The walls of secrecy began to close in, and with them, Alara's grip on reality frayed. Had she unknowingly provoked whatever slumbered in the depths? The echoes of a forgotten truth gnawed at her mind, and exhaustion seeped into her bones. Shadows lengthened, and every sighted movement sent a jolt through her spine. A sense of urgency clenched Alara's heart as she learned the origin of the pact between the townsfolk and the enigmatic entity residing within the lighthouse. It was a promise made generations ago, sealed with blood, to protect Belmarsh, but at the cost of one life bound to the sea every decade. She had uncovered not just a mystery of disappearance but a cycle of sacrifice and horror gripping the town for eons. Alara gathered Mary and Silas, confronting them on their secrets. Each now unveiled their part in the curse, an offering of the Keeper mandates, their sins bound to the light. Torn between dread and resolve, the trio ventured back to the lighthouse, an indelible hunger igniting among them. With watchful eyes, Alara led them through the dying light of sunset, the walls reverberating with chaos and despair. There, in the depths of the lighthouse, they stumbled upon Tobias's skeletal remains and a journal drenched in despair. Writings of an unspeakable horror gnawing at him from the abyss. Just as she pieced together the remnants of a furious sacrifice, silence enveloped them, and a fateful revelation unfolded. Those who harbored the secret were bound by cosmic strings, entangled in the Keeper's curse. Mary screamed as the positively charged locket flickered, drawing the air thick with dread. Silas clutched his head, collapsing, blurring the line between perceptions of reality. Alara felt the lighthouse pulse with an awakened energy, tendrils of darkness reaching into her mind. What horrors did this pact entail, and who would be offered next? As she gazed at her companions, torn threads of truth and complexity blurred amid the pulsating glow. The eerie sounds grew into a chaotic chorus, opaque and incomprehensible. Alara's body trembled, grappling with the tormenting understanding that some mysteries lay beyond mere comprehension, nestled in the shadows, lurking until the light fades. In that moment, whether damned or liberated, they had become part of the cycle. The lighthouse stood ominous as ever, its light now a reminder of the illuminations best left undisturbed.